Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. Hold on tight because what we're about to discuss could be a real game changer for the Washington Commanders and the NFC East as a whole. Rumors are swirling around, and they point to a blockbuster trade that could alter the landscape of the division. According to some reliable sources, like Diana Rossini, the Chicago Bears are in serious talks to trade their Pro Bowl cornerback Jaylon Johnson to the Commanders. And folks, this isn't just any trade. This could be a move that redefines how Washington's defense stacks up against their divisional rivals, especially heading into a season where every game counts even more. Now, let's talk about Johnson. For those of you who follow the NFL closely, you already know that Jaylon Johnson is a top-tier cornerback, someone who's proven himself as a lockdown defender. He was a Pro Bowl selection in 2023, and his PFF coverage grade last year was a phenomenal 94. That's elite by NFL standards. Over his career, Johnson has accumulated 214 tackles, 49 pass deflections, 7 interceptions, and 11 tackles for loss in just 70 games. These aren't just numbers. They tell the story of a player who's consistently able to shut down top receivers and make game-changing plays. In the 2024 season, Johnson's PFF grade dipped slightly to 79 overall, but his coverage grade remains impressive at 71.9, and his EPA per target was a solid -0.41. That negative EPA indicates he's very effective at limiting the success of opposing offenses. In 2025, up until September 15th, he had 15 tackles, 2 interceptions, and allowed just 82 yards per reception, which puts him among the best in the league in that category. Not to mention, he's durable. Outside of an injury to his shoulder in 2024 that caused him to miss just one game, Johnson has been remarkably reliable, starting 70 games in a row. And let's not forget about his strengths. Johnson is a master in man-to-man coverage, with a PFF grade above 85, and he's also very competent in zone coverage, with a career zone coverage percentage of around 88.2%. His ability to lock down receivers and his versatility make him an invaluable asset to any secondary, especially one aiming to strengthen its presence for a playoff push. Picture him lining up across from the division's top receivers, shutting them down, and giving the Commanders' defense a new level of consistency. It's the kind of upgrade that could turn a good secondary into an elite one. Now, the Chicago Bears, on the other hand, are in a different position. They're sitting at 1-2, and their defense is allowing an average of 26 points per game, a number that they clearly want to improve. Their defense overall has been a concern, especially considering the fact that their run defense has been a struggle, and they're looking to rebuild quickly. The Bears are also facing some tough decisions when it comes to cap space, with Johnson's cap hit at around $8.5 million, which is not insignificant. They're prioritizing their offensive line to protect their young quarterback, and they're also looking to add assets for a rebuild, especially with their focus on developing their young talent. So, in this context, trading Johnson makes a lot of sense from the Bears' perspective. It relieves cap space, around $8 million, and allows them to acquire draft picks, which are crucial for a team in rebuild mode. The rumor is that Washington would send a conditional first-round pick in the 2026 draft, along with Percy Butler, the promising safety who has been developing well. This kind of trade, if it goes through, could give the Bears the assets they need to accelerate their rebuild, especially on the offensive line, where they're prioritizing sacks and pass protection. Now, focusing on the impact for Washington, this move could be enormous. Adding Jaylon Johnson to the secondary would significantly boost their coverage efficiency, potentially increasing it by around 20%. Imagine a defense where Johnson is able to shut down the opposing team's top receiver, freeing up other players to make plays. His presence would elevate the entire secondary, much like what Darius Slay did in Philadelphia during their Super Bowl run in 2017. His ability to lock down receivers and his knack for creating turnovers, averaging nearly 2 interceptions per season, could be a real game changer. And it's not just about individual talent, it's about the strategic shift. Johnson's addition could turn the Commanders' defense into a true shutdown unit, capable of holding opponents to fewer points and creating more turnovers. This would allow the team to control games more effectively, especially with their offense continuing to develop. Think about the potential of a secondary with Johnson, combined with the other talents already in place. This could be the piece that pushes Washington into the top 10 defenses in the league, if not higher. Now, let's talk about the division and playoff implications. The NFC East has always been a tough, competitive division, with teams like the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants all fighting for supremacy. The Eagles, for instance, have one of the best defenses in the league right now, and adding Johnson to the mix would make Washington's secondary even more formidable. The Cowboys, known for their disciplined defense, would have an even tougher time facing a secondary led by a player of Johnson's caliber. And for Washington, this move could be the difference between just competing and actually dominating the division. Looking ahead, the odds of Washington making a deep playoff run could improve significantly with a stronger defense, especially in a league that's increasingly driven by passing games. Johnson's ability to shut down top receivers would be a key factor in neutralizing the high-powered offenses that they'll face in the postseason. If this trade happens, it could elevate their chances of making a splash in the playoffs, perhaps even challenging for a division title or a deep wildcard run. And let's not forget about the other side of the coin, the Bears. They're focused on drafting and developing talent, and acquiring a conditional first-round pick in 2026 is a strategic move for them. It's a chance to stockpile assets, especially given their focus on rebuilding the offensive line and adding young talent that can grow in the next few years. Percy Butler is a promising safety, and bringing him to Chicago along with a first-round pick could give them the flexibility they need to accelerate their rebuild. But the big question remains, will this trade actually happen? The NFL offseason is always full of surprises, and rumors like this tend to intensify as teams try to position themselves for the upcoming season. If the Bears see Johnson as a player they can't afford to keep, especially with the cap hit and their current rebuild strategy, it makes sense for both sides. For Washington, it's an opportunity to add a proven elite cornerback and solidify their defense for years to come. For Chicago, it's about gathering assets and building for the future. And just to give you a perspective on how impactful Johnson can be, think about the stats from recent seasons. He's consistently been a top performer in coverage, with a zone coverage percentage of around 88.2%, and is particularly strong in man-to-man situations, boasting a PFF grade above 85. His coverage skills allow him to shadow the best receivers and shut them down, which is exactly what the Commanders need to elevate their secondary. His ability to create turnovers, combined with his durability, makes him a player worth investing in. Now, if this trade goes through, it could set off a ripple effect across the NFL. Teams in the NFC East would have to rethink their offensive strategies knowing they're going up against a secondary anchored by Johnson. It could also influence other teams' approaches in the upcoming draft and free agency, as they see the value of having a shutdown cornerback like Johnson. The NFC East, which has always been competitive, could become even more intense, with each team trying to outdo the other in the secondary game. And speaking of the bigger picture, this move could also be seen as a statement from Washington. They're serious about contending now, and they're willing to make bold moves to do so. Strengthening their secondary with a player like Johnson, who can lock down the top receivers, aligns perfectly with their goal of making a deep playoff run. The defense is often the backbone of a championship team, and adding Johnson could be a step toward building a more formidable unit that can challenge the best defenses in the league. Looking ahead, the NFL landscape is always evolving, and this potential trade is a perfect example of how teams are trying to position themselves for success. The Commanders have been building steadily, and with a few key additions, they could be a serious contender. The division is tough, no doubt, but with the right pieces, Washington can rise above the competition. Johnson's addition would be a massive boost, giving the team a real edge against their rivals. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential trade? Do you believe Johnson is the missing piece that can take your team to the next level? Or do you think the Bears should hold on to him and continue rebuilding? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters a lot to us and to the future of the team. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, more analysis, and all the latest news about the Washington Commanders. Stay tuned, because this offseason is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent memory, and we're here to bring you every bit of it.